Are you planning on deporting American citizens?
No, exactly not. Look,
What he is saying is that U.S. citizens can be deported.
The border czar has spoken. If you are an American citizen, a legal citizen, you will not get kicked out of the country. If you are an illegal citizen, not an American citizen, you will get kicked out of the country. Okay, so here's what's going on. Tom Homan is going pretty viral right now for this interview he did where he says, look, the best way to not separate families during deportation process is you deport them together. We're going to play this very short clip, but then we're going to see how the media is lying and twisting all of this, especially The View. We will get back to them here shortly, but let's first watch this short clip.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
So that clip right there is the best gift anybody who hates Tom Homan, anyone who hates Donald Trump, that is a perfect clip to isolate and to completely take out of context. Because from the perspective of Tom Homan, who again was the former ICE director and now will be in charge of border security, not only on the Mexican border, but all borders, his position has always been, once you come into this country, you forfeit your right as an American citizen because you did something illegally, a federal offense. And not only that, you're not even an American citizen, so you are not given those rights. So again, you can see you have totally different perspectives taken out of context. Now, I want to get to The View, and then we will get to how Tom Homan says, I will not be deporting American citizens. We'll get to that a bit later.
Now, the former head of ICE, Tom Homan, has just been picked as border czar for the upcoming administration, and he recently went on 60 Minutes to justify the price that migrants and Americans will pay for his plan. Take a look.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
I don't care what anybody's opinion is on illegal immigration. When you create a crisis this big, all these other bad things happen. That's why we have to secure the border. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or independent. Border security is national security.
So perhaps that means that they will go back to the plan that was that both the Republicans and the Democrats were going to do at the border and was stopped by you-know-who. So maybe that's in his mind, that there is something to do there.
You realize, I mean, it's chilling what he just said. You realize that when he says, yes, families can be deported together.
Okay, so what they're about to do is react to the same video we just saw. In fact, they will only react to a very small clip of it, even shorter than we saw. But I want you to remember, these are comedians and entertainers. Their job is to read the cue cards, stare in the camera, and try to invoke an emotion, mainly fear and hate. Make sure that you come back to their TV show because everything they're about to say is so spot on because they're the experts and they know exactly what they're talking about when they don't. So I want you guys to remember that.
So perhaps that means that they will go back to the plan that was that both the Republicans and the Democrats were going to do at the border and was stopped by you-know-who. So maybe that's in his mind, that there is something to do there.
You realize, I mean, it's chilling what he just said. You realize that when he says, yes, families can be deported together, what he is saying is that U.S. citizens can be deported. What he is saying is if the parent is undocumented and they have U.S. citizen children or U.S. citizen spouse, or and you don't want to separate them, then let's deport the U.S. citizens.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to point out. First things first, I'm going to be very transparent, as I always try to be. I don't watch The View, but I've watched it enough to know that the second they get off of the cue cards, their points become very incoherent, and they pretty much use one another to try bailing themselves out of a point that they know doesn't make any sense, and it's sort of dragging on and getting very emotional. You will notice that about The View. That is why they have all these co-hosts. Something else I want to point out is that The View really has the inability to be fully honest. They will never ever say that an illegal immigrant who came into this country committed the first federal offense. They refuse to say that. They will never admit if you get a DUI and there is a child in the back seat, the government separates those families. But no, we are getting very emotional about all of this, and I understand. This is a very, very serious point. But again, the issue I have with The View is that they never see two sides of the coin. They're only pointing out the things that they hate because they don't like Donald Trump. But I want to get to this next interview so we can get a little more clarification from Tom Homan.
Well, the propaganda war has begun. Here with more is America's next border czar. Tom Homan is with us. Tom, welcome back to the program. Great to have you. Are you planning on deporting American citizens?
No, exactly not. Look, The View, it's like the island of misfit toys. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. President Trump has made it clear. We will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats first. And that's what the focus will be. And there's over 1.5 convicted criminal aliens in this country with final orders removal that we're going to be looking for. There's thousands of gang members, illegal alien gang members we're going to be looking for. Now, I'm going to say, if you're in the country illegally, you shouldn't feel comfortable. Absolutely not. I won't feel comfortable if I'm in the country illegally. If I'm in some other country illegally, I'm not going to be comfortable. You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal, and you're not off the table.
So look, that is the main difference in viewpoints. You have the more conservative Republican viewpoint of, look, once these guys come into the country, they are criminals. And even if they decide that they're going to have kids in the country, and that kid is now an American citizen, they are still adults and they are still criminals. And even within the United States, American citizens get separated all the time. For anybody who has a family, you know if you mess up or you do something bad to that child or you create a bad environment, you also get separated. So for all of a sudden to just act like that's not a thing within the American law, let alone for people who already committed the first federal offense, I think it's rather bizarre. But again, I understand that this is a very, very easy clip to isolate and to run with and to try and make Donald Trump look bad. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I understand this is a very sensitive topic, and I understand there are tons of illegal immigrants who come into the country who mean very well, and they were trying to seek a better life. But again, this is a discussion and conversation we need to unite on and try to figure out what we're going to do.